Hi there, I'm Tim Strong from the company Telegeography, and I'm here with Mark de Kock from Trident. Mark, this time last year at PTC 2013, I had never heard of Trident. What is Trident and where did you come from?
Yes, first of all, Aloha. I think one of our key strengths is our speed. We've really only been in existence for the last 7 months or so. Trident is a $400 million cable system that's being built from Perth via Jakarta to Singapore, but it also has a terrestrial leg from the resource area of Western Australia called the Northwest Shelf down to Perth to provide a resilient ring for the resource industry. That's oil and gas and mining.
How did you come up with the name Trident?
Trident, yes, interesting. I mean, first of all, 3 countries, Australia, Indonesia, and Singapore, but also because we're covering an international leg, a domestic leg, and also building data center facilities for the resource industry. So 3 industries, 3 countries, okay. 1 system.
So up in Northwest Australia, there are these different verticals, oil and gas and mining. How do they currently get their connectivity?
Right, well, they have pretty limited connectivity up there right now. It's about 1,100 kilometers from the nearest major city in Australia. There's a single fiber provider which has 13-year-old fiber, and it's very limited in terms of its upgradability, scalability, and resilience. That area of the world produces about 60% of the world's iron ore, and also there are some $80 billion worth of projects being built in that area for liquefied natural gas and further iron ore expansion. So that area of Australia produces about $100 billion worth of revenue per annum, and they're very, very underserviced in terms of backhaul communications.
So how do they communicate with the rest of the world?
As I said, they've got 13-year-old fiber. There's a bit of a smattering of fiber over there, and then they have satellite as backup. Now, as you can understand, if you're having a very sophisticated, highly technological operation, having to rely on satellite with its latency and limitations is limited, and having a single provider of fiber over there also has its ensuing risks. Right now, you have the preposterous situation where you have a company that's producing, say, $4 or $5 billion worth of resources that is limited in its communication. And for instance, they get the data gathering of the seismological data, they store it on hard drives, and they physically truck it back down to a city, which is like, something from the 50s or the 60s.
It's hard to imagine as a consumer who is addicted to the internet.
Right.
I can't imagine how that they can put up with that kind of limitation. Now, you're not only going to be serving these industry verticals, but you'll be providing service to carriers. Now, absolutely. I know that for many years, companies have been trying to develop a new cable that would connect the west side of Australia up to Southeast Asia. Yep. I believe there's only one existent cable, CME 3, and that was laid in 1999, if I recall correctly. That's with right. Fairly limited capacity. What's taken so long?
Well, you're right that there are people that have looked at building a cable on that route. The business case is pretty strong. Australia's international internet demand has been growing by about 50% compound annual growth for the last 10 years. It's projected by our own organisation, I believe, to continue at about 38% for at least the next 5 years. So the business case is strong, but the thing that's hindered most people is getting the Indonesian government approvals. So the cable from Perth to Singapore has to traverse Indonesian territorial waters. And for that, you need to get governmental approvals and permits to be able to lay the cable and to land the cable in Indonesia.
I'm sorry. So how's your company any different from the others that have been trying to do this?
Right, and that's one of our key competitive advantages, is that we've done a deal with the Matrix cable system. The Matrix cable system runs from Jakarta to Singapore. It's got 4 fiber pairs. It's been operational since 2008. And we've done a deal with Matrix where we acquire 2 of their fiber pairs, which are virtually dormant at this point in time, and connected from a branching unit, a pre-existing branching unit, off the coast of Jakarta down to Australia. This means that we've got our Singaporean facilities, our Indonesian facilities, and a large portion of the cable already in place, with the Indonesian permits and licenses that come with that already in place.
And when do you hope to go live?
We're looking for a Q3 2015 RFS on the international leg, and the domestic leg will be 6 months before that.
And critical question that everyone at these kind of events ask, what's the status of your funding to do all this great stuff?
Right, so we've got an agreement signed with the Beijing Construction and Engineering Group for 80% debt funding of the project. And so there's 20% of the equity that we have to still raise. Some of that equity will come from the Matrix organization, who will buy capacity on our system in turn for the contribution of funds. And our current investors will follow on in the equity round once we get sufficient pre-sales in place to get the funding released from the bank.
Well, Mark, it's been great meeting you. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.